Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed your last history lesson. Now that you know how bouldering began and how it evolved, we can move on to our next lesson. Today, we're turning the lens a little closer to home. Every great event has an origin story. At first, just a thought, then that thought blossoms into an event we all mark on our calendars at the start of each and every year. This is the history of Boulder Fest.
We've spoken about the history of bouldering a little bit. Let's get to the real heavy hitter. Why did Boulder Fest begin? You both looked at Dave.
I got a little bit of an inside story. So, although I wasn't the person who conceived the idea of Boulder Fest, there was a guy called Joe Driver. The real catalyst, even slightly preceding Boulder Fest, is Urban Climb and Alex, the CEO of Urban Climb's uncanny ability to say yes to the craziest of ideas. And so it's within that environment that Joe Driver, who was just a team leader at Urban Climb and 110% absolute frother, was involved in a lot of coaching and route setting as well. Leapt into Alex's office one day and said, "I want to run a climbing event that's not just for people who climb really hard. We want a mass participation event where there's not even anyone watching, everyone's just climbing. And I want to shut the gym down for 3 days to do it." And Alex was like, "Yeah, all right, sounds great, go for it." That was sometime in 2009. So this year's Boulder Fest number 16.
It would be 17 if it wasn't for the 2020 gap. Yeah.
To understand that environment a little more, climbing events did happen. There was only 30 or 35 climbing gyms in all of Australia. There was no modern bouldering gym. Every single climbing gym was either a rope gym, and then there was a small training-oriented bouldering type centre in Victoria called Black Factories. So it was pretty wild to pitch this idea that we would run a bouldering-centred event in a country where very few people even knew what bouldering was. And also, Urban Climb at the time was just one site. If you've been to the West End site before, it was only the walls that are made out of concrete. So it's the concrete wall that runs around the border. And then it doesn't exist anymore, but there was a small concrete mushroom shape in the middle of the room that we used to call bouldering. It's not bouldering like we know bouldering today. It was a wall where every T-nut that still functioned had a hole attached. It had this dodgy ass matting around the base, usually with an old advertising canvas sign sitting over the top to hold it all together. And the way to interact with the boulder was to sit there and conceive of a climb yourself, or hang out in a group of people and pitch this idea that you're going to go from this hole to this hole, and you can use any feed or you have to use these exact feed. And so this niche community within a niche community, which was the 30 or so people who like to hang out on the mushroom, got their own event. But it must have touched the nerve, because that first year at Boulder Fest, climbing events at that time, if they cracked 50 attendees, that was considered a fairly major event, even at the state and national level. And the first Boulder Fest had 129 people.
So great reception for something.
Triple digits. Yeah. I'd say the chaos factor didn't drop down too much, but we were able to dedicate a bit more time, and we knew the event was successful, and we knew that we wanted to grow the event. In the first 3 years with Joe, I don't know the exact numbers, but year one was 100. I know year one was 129. Year two was more than 200, and then year three, which was his last year, was somewhere between 200 and 300. My main drive was, with a bit more support from Urban and the team, getting that number up and trying to bring the chaos down, but still not really thinking about the professionalization of the event, which is closing the gym for longer, and considering the fact that people should be working through the night the next day on these events, which is really where Johnny came in. Joey invented Boulder Fest. I made it bigger. Johnny made it better. and Boulder made it perfect. So that might be
Over to you.
Over to me. When did I take over Boulder Fest? 2017 was when I took over Boulder Fest with Genya, actually.
That's right.
We did it together for that year. It was a bit of a handover with Johnny. So it was a handover period, and it was the second time we held Boulder Fest at Milton, but the first time we held it at Milton not being a state comp. So it was a time when state comps were transitioning from Pump Fest over to Boulder Jam formats, and we weren't excited in keeping the Boulder Jam format as part of Boulder Fest because Boulder Fest was such a social comp and that Pump Fest, and just you have 2 hours to kind of mingle and move around the gym and interact with as many people as possible and as many climbs as possible kind of was that core ethos of Boulder Fest, and the change in format there was when we kind of created 2 separate competitions, which in hindsight was actually really cool because it's meant that the state comps I think have been able to build into those more sort of professional state level competitions moving into that national realm, and then Boulder Fest has stayed that community centric event. But when I ran it from 2017 to 2022 was my handover year with Zane, so until 22, and I think we had 3 iterations in that time, so we had a few changes in that period. So the first year we had youth, open, and masters categories. And it was pretty chaotic. We also had open B finals. I can't speak from a setting perspective. I was being a setting perspective, kind of chaotic, trying to do Pump Fest and then 2 lots of finals. Sunday afternoon used to be close the gym, strip the gym, set finals, run open B finals, close the gym, strip the gym, reset, and then do open A finals. So pretty chaotic.
How was that for you, Dad?
So I was better than working through the night. So, yeah.
It was more fun. I think the gym closures at that stage were from Monday through to the Sunday. I feel like 2017 may have been the last year we did open B finals.
I know that it was in Milton.
Yeah.
That was last year.
So then 2018 was just open A finals, and it's kind of, I guess, where Boulder Fest was forming into what it is now, where the competitive realm of finals became that showcase, where it was the top community members of urban or just climbers across Australia, and it was a real showcase event. It kind of was the pinnacle close to the weekend, and the rest of the competition weekend was just a social comp for everyone to be a part of and sort of challenge themselves in. I believe we still had youth at that stage as well, but I think 2018 may have been the last year we also had youth climbing, and in 2019 we moved it into a complete open category, purely because the demand was rising and it was getting to a point where we were trying to do it all, and we had to make those decisions as to where we could grow the event and what direction we could take it in. So in 2019, we still had open A, B, and C categories, and then masters and socials, but no youth. And then we took it to Melbourne for the first year as well. Again, a completely different format. It was a 5 or 6 hour Pump Fest.
Just climbing along in your life.
Yeah, it may have even been longer than 5 or 6 hours. Yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous. I remember opening the gym at 6 a.m., but I can't remember when the Pump Fest finished. But you essentially had, like, say 8 hours to climb as many problems as you wanted. There was no start. You could drop in at 6 till we finished, or you could start at midday. And I guess we hadn't anticipated so many people to stay for the entire day. It was kind of crazy.
I remember the final, I don't know if it's the men's or the women's, where if you wanted to be in the men's final, unfortunately, you had to stay there all day.
Yeah.
And if somebody, because the scores were live, so if somebody popped you out, then you had to like warm up again and get back on the wall.
Yes.
We always thought people would just come and they'd get tired after 2.5 hours and leave.
No, but there was people that had gone and gotten lunch and then were back in the gym because they'd been knocked out of finals.
I competed that.
Oh, you did?
We were in the finals.
I got 9.
Liz made the finals.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, we played the finals that year. There was a time when I vividly remember Pat and I standing on the mezzanine thinking we were going to have to close the gym because there was just so much chalk
that's right.
in the air because there was so many people like, just in the gym at once that it was just foggy. There's no other way to describe it. But that made finals really interesting because everyone was pretty wrecked and had to climb some pretty intense problems. It was good. It was a good day.
It was awesome.
And it was all one day.
It was a good time.
Yeah, that was just a one-day event, and then that was into the July, and then the August we had the normal Brisbane Boulder Fest, and that was the last year we had open A, B, and C categories. So we took a break in 2020 for obvious reasons. And then in 2021, we actually kind of reformatted a lot of the event. It was still a pump fest, but we removed the categories, kind of, I guess. You basically, if you wanted to compete, you went into the competitive category and you were going for finals or just to compete against yourself. Or there was the social rounds, and then we introduced teams for the first time, which again, as I said before, kind of separating and really focusing on that pump fest era. This allowed for that iteration to develop and create another category for people that might be a little bit anxious or not super keen on competing individually, but bouldering can be such a group activity that we latched onto that and created this sort of team round.
Was that the first year at West End?
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
it was. It was the first year at West End. We put a curtain up on Graceland. So Graceland wasn't part of the Pump Fest, it just had the finals problem set for the entire comp weekend, which we thought was cool because it was really, at the time, it was a real sort of spectacle. I do remember on the Sunday being in the Pump Fest area and the setters tweaking some of the finals problems behind the curtains just because of how results had panned out in the Pump Fest. And it meant for a really good spectacle when we opened the curtains for finals, but the next year we decided to reintroduce Graceland because it's an epic wall and it meant the entire gym could be of access to the competitors for the event weekend.
For the first couple of years of Boulder Fest, every now and then some superstar climber from the south or from overseas would come and just walk up every climb. And so it was we had Tom Farrell in the early days, which just blew everyone's minds.
Yeah.
Sam Berry before she became a CrossFit machine.
Yeah.
We had Paul Robinson come one year, straight from his campsite down to the Grampians. Like we knew that Paul Robinson, a very talented US climber, a guy called Nale, I'm going to butcher his last name, Pakatayaval, and who else was there at that time? Alex Amigos, maybe?
Maybe.
There was a crew of these bigger international, that's right, superstars, and they were in Grampians, so we messaged all of them. And the story goes that they were sitting around the campfire, the weather wasn't looking great, and it came up that they'd all received these spam messages about this event up in Queensland, and they thought it'd be funny to all go, take the prize, share it, come back and continue on their adventure, and they all agreed, no, we're not going to do that. And then Paul said, oh guys, actually, I gotta pop down to Melbourne to visit a friend or something, and he snuck off, flew up, and just mopped the floor with everyone. When we heard he was coming, we even invented just a crazy climb, just for him, and it was nothing. But that gap has since, it was so important and helpful for Queensland climbers to see what the standard was, and we've had some incredible climbers come through. Like Tom Halloran, and back at that time, another name, Elliot Leach, an absolute machine.
Tom on the 09.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, actually maybe Brendan Pipton by like a point.
Yeah,
But yeah, he was also like 15.
Yeah, that's one of my core Boulder Fest memories. I remember Tom was on the M4 final, and he tried to grab this. He was on the tiniest crimp you've ever seen, hugging the wall with his feet, no holds. And he tried to grab this pinch in his hand, slipped off. And so then he looked at his hand, and he was telling it like, this is and he just grabbed it again, and it stuck. And he went through and smash the climb. But it is not like that anymore. I'd be really curious to hear your guys' thoughts on that for climbers and for setters.
Yeah.
A bit of like us always wanting to one up like ourselves as well. Like you do something like amazing, and then the next year you're like, well, how are we going to like reinvent the wheel, I suppose, to some degree, or like better that, or keep surprising the showcase, like the audience, and but yeah, definitely the athletes like in Australia the past decade have become just amazing climbers, and you get really nervous because you look at the list and now you're like, okay, there's 30 people here who can well and truly climb beyond the setting theme.
Yeah.
In like, you know, and you've got to really think about, well, how are we going to split all of these competitors? And yeah, so they've definitely every year just kept pushing us like further and further, and more tricks to split them, and more like, difficult boulders, making sure there's heaps of variety, so it's like the person who's the best all-round climber is winning. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Favorite Boulder Fest moment? All of them.
I have one, mainly because I was thinking about the progression of setting and comp climbing, and for me, part of that within Boulder Fest is seeing members of our community come up and then start competing with that national level of representatives in climbing, especially. And one of my favourite moments was 2019, in which we had a pretty stacked women's field. I believe the podium was Charlotte, Emma, and Anna in the end.
Oh, that was good, yeah.
Yeah, but we had Grace, who's a local member and is all-round crusher that made finals. And she was on, I think it may have been Boulder 1, it may have been Boulder 2, where she hadn't got it and time was about to go out, and we obviously ran Boulder Fest finals in 4+ format, so she pulled on the wall with a few minutes to spare and managed to get to the top of the wall and like topped this problem, and just I've never heard the gym explode like so insanely. There's a photo of it in our office at the moment, but that's probably one of my favorites because it was just a member that you saw throughout the gym every year throughout the week, and they were just a general crusher training, and they were competing against some of Australia's top climbers. Like you had Emma and Anna and Charlotte in our finals. And it was really cool to see a member competing against some of Australia's best representative climbers.
Yeah. Favorite Boulder Fest moment? Go.
I think Dave should go.
I've got one. Yeah.
Dave.
I mean, I just had to flip through like 100. One year, this absolute loose unit, Kamari Barry, came up to compete. She's so much personality, and it was this year when we were still sitting on the concrete walls at West End, and we weren't sticking to this whole idea that climbs can only be 4.5 meters high, which is now the Australian standard.
Yeah.
And so in the men's and women's finals, I don't know how high they went, but it was up there, and there was I think it was the female 3 climb or female 2. The last move was their feet would have been at 4.5 meters, they were way up. And they had these 2 terrible holds, and the finish was to sort of up into this roof feature, bring both of their hands up and press against this hole in the roof and hold that position. And I'm not sure whether it was a headspace thing or a physical thing, but all of the competitors rolled through and just failed on this. They just jumped off. They're like, this is stupid. And then I think this was the differentiator that got to the top of the podium. But Kamari, instead of trying to keep her feet on the intended foothold and do the move as it was planned, she managed to do a hand-foot match on both of the handholds. So she was kind of in good position. Like her hands and her feet were on the same holds for a second, but to do this, she was holding a pure split, like John Claude Van Damme. And then from that strong position, she then reached up and held the finish hold. And the other best part of that night is that after I'm not sure if we still do it, we used to hand out these giant novelty checks that were almost as big as a person. And we had a big party that night after Boulder Fest, and she brought her novelty check with her for like into the evening. It was a good day. Yeah.
That's awesome. honestly, yeah, so many.
Yeah.
Just one quick fire, go.
I don't know. I mean, anytime I watch Sam and B compete, it's usually pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
It's been pulled off like for improper like topping.
Oh yeah, that was controversial.
And gets back on and still does it in 30 seconds. The Lachey in the roof 2019
Oh, yeah.
was fantastic.
Just
Like,
him sitting in the cave.
yeah, sitting there like shaking out for like an extra 2 minutes, and then the time is gone, and he pulled it out. Like every time it's like back is up against the wall, just always like finds a way to pull it out. It's pretty cool.
Clutch pull out.
I think that might
Yeah,
be
for
in my,
sure.
that'll be in my top 3 all-time favorite Boulder Fest climbs.
The Lachey.
Yeah.
The Ninja was big at the time, so it's
Yeah.
very topical.
Yeah, so it only got topped by, well, the move itself only got done by 3 people, and one of them did it lashing forwards in the conventional way. Sam got it going backwards for some reason,
Yeah.
which doesn't make any sense.
He kicked it off
in
the wall, right?
Like in
Yeah.
the physical world, it doesn't make sense. Sam made it make sense. And then I think someone else managed to piece together as more of a static.
I think Chase had it static.
Yeah.
I remember them trying to.
Skip the lachey.
Yeah, they were leading out with a bicycle,
that's
but
what I
couldn't ever
remember.
reel the drop in because the
yeah.
drop
It was big.
was further than your arm.
Jesse,
Yeah.
or Al.
Al had some pretty decent falls on that problem. Al was just jumping for everything.
Alright, that's it. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
There it is. Some backstory on how Boulder Fest began. Thanks for joining us today. Stay tuned, because you never know what's to come.